What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super video. We are 2 weeks away from the Colossal Warfare release date, and today Bandai has revealed the super rares for the set. Now, some of us have probably already seen them, we've all speculated over them, but I wanted to give my take on their abilities, what they could do, and how well they could probably work in the game. So sit back, relax, and let's check them out. Up first is one of my favorites, Triple Flash Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku. He's a 7 cost, 30,000 power. You EX evolve him for 1 red energy on a red GT Son Goku with energy cost 5 or more, so you don't have to discard with him, which is great. And actually, when you play him, you draw 2 cards. So instead of discarding, you get to draw 2, which is fantastic. You can't EX evolve for the rest of the turn. That's not a big deal. He's got Deflect, so you can't play counterplay skills against him. He's got Triple Strike. And his permanent says, if this card's power is 40,000 or more, your opponent may not activate counter during battles where this card is attacking. Right there, that guarantees this. That guarantees that this card, if it attacks, you're done. If you don't have a blocker, you're done. Because you can't counter it, you can't counterplay it, so you can't negate any of its effects. It's crazy. The card is so good. I'm just upset that it's red and not yellow, and I can't EX evolve it in my yellow swap deck. But honestly, getting it to 40,000 power should not be a problem at all with all the support in the GT red stuff. Even the Gokus that you evolve it on top of are already going to kind of get that boost. So there's really no reason whatsoever that you should never be able to get his effect off, and because of everything that's listed on his card, that triple strike should be guaranteed to hit and KO your opponent. Up next, we have Epochal Grudge, Grade 8 baby. He's a 6 cost, 30,000 power. You evolve him for 2 red and 2 other on top of any baby. Any baby of any energy. So you can just evolve him on top of the 1-drop. That's what I find so crazy with this fucking card, is you don't have to evolve him on the 4-drop or even the 3-drop. You can just evolve him on the 1-drop. He's got Triple Strike, and once per turn when this card attacks or your opponent plays a battle card. So you can do it during either player's turn. If your leader card is a machine mutant, which it's going to be, playing baby, obviously, draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it loses 20,000 power for the duration of the turn. So you can almost pretty much just guarantee you're going to kill it as soon as it comes into play, unless it's a card with, like, barrier or something. This card is disgusting. It really is, and this is one of the cards that makes me really want to play a baby deck. And when you combine that ability plus all the other neg power card abilities, baby's going to be one of the defining meta decks. Next up, we have Saiyan Onslaught Kefla. She's a 5 cost, 25,000 power. You Union Potara her for 3 red on a Khalifa and a Kale, and I'm so glad that they made her cost 3 red, because it means that she cannot be stupidly abused in the green-red veggie package. So you would have to play her in mono red veggies, because you're not really going to get to the point where you're going to have 2 green energy and 5 red energy to be able to play her. So it does take away her potency, which in this game, with the way things are going, it's really needed. She's got Deflect, of course, and Dual Attack. And when this card is played using Union Potara or it attacks, draw 1 card and then gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So you basically get 2 draws every turn with this card. It's ridiculous. The card advantage that you get with it. But again, you can't play it with the green package, so that's a plus. For blue, we have At All Costs Vegeta. He's a 4 cost, 20,000 power. When you play this card, draw 1 card and then choose one of your energy and switch it to active mode. Once per turn, choose 2 cards in your life, add them to your hand. This card gains 3,000 power for the duration of the turn for each energy you have. Then, if you have 5 or more energy, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, and this card gains Triple Strike. That's pretty crazy. So, essentially, he would gain 15,000, so he'd go up to 35,000 with Triple Strike. That's wild. And with him being a 4 cost, you can play him with Rebirth of Justice. So you can bounce one of your opponent's cards, drop him, get your draw, get your energy back, and then just swing for that Triple Strike. I actually really like this card. I feel like he's pretty well balanced. You can play him on turn 4 and, you know, still do your stuff with him. And then turn 5, like, you just have to have the 5 energy. So it's not that hard to get to that point. Game's don't last as long now, but I've had games where you still hit, 5 or 6 energy, depending on your playstyle, your opponent's playstyle, and when you use bricking. So I feel like this is a really good card. It'd be really fun with the Vegito leader, to be able to run him in there as well. You could also make him green because of that. You can play him to save a hopeful future from the drop. Like, there's just so many things you could do with this card. And Vegeta's finally getting a lot of really good support, and I'm looking forward to making a full-on Vegeta deck with that Vegito leader from set 2. Then we have Colossal Malice Hirudegarn. He's a 9-cost, 30,000 power, and he has EX Evolve for 2 blue and 2 other on a Hirudegarn with an energy cost of 7 or more. That right there makes him more balanced, because you have to play the Hirudegarn, and then you have to be able to have it survive a turn, which isn't really that difficult, and then have the 4 energy to evolve him with, and you're no way you're doing it in the same turn. I mean, it's possible. It is definitely not ideal. He's got Barrier, and when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and up to 1 card from their hand, place them on top of their owner's deck in any order. When your opponent attacks with one of their cards, if your leader card's a Phantom Demon, probably no chance you'll ever run Hirudegarn without the leader. You may send this card and 1 card from your hand to the warp. If you do so, negate the attack, then play this card from your warp at the start of your next main phase. So, what's crazy is Hirudegarn and even, I think, the 7-drop are all about, hey, I'm going to negate your attack, I'm going to go away so you can't do jack shit against me, and then I'm going to come back so that I can do it all over again. Like, it's really weird how he's like a free negate, but at the same time, and I mean free as in you don't have to have a negate card to play it, or have an energy, you just have to fulfill the requirements to play it. And then he just comes back, he's still a big beat stick, and then you can do some more stupid shit with him on the following turn. Now, I don't necessarily know how meta-defining Hirudegarn is going to be, but a lot of his abilities are really annoying, especially, putting cards from the top of the deck or from the owner's hand to the top of the deck. That ability just kind of really annoys people, really annoys me, and it gets in the way of drawing other cards, because you're drawing the same shit you already had, and you're like, oh, well, this was helpful. I've had that problem with other card games in the past, and it's just not fun. I see this being a fun deck more than anything else, though. On to green, we have one of my 2 favorite super rares from the set, Kami's Power Piccolo. He's a 4-cost, 20,000 power with Barrier and Double Strike, so good that he has Barrier. He can't be hit by abilities and that shit to get him off the board. And his activate main says once per turn, for Bond 2, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. Now, a lot of people are saying that this Piccolo is underwhelming, and I completely disagree. The fact that all you have to have is one other battle card besides him on the board. It doesn't say Bond 2 Namekian. It just says Bond 2. Any battle card. And once per turn, you can just KO a dude. Doesn't matter their level, their energy level, doesn't matter their power level, it doesn't matter rest mode, active, none of that shit matters. You just get a free KO. Like, why? Why would you not think this card is good? And for a 4-cost, that's actually really not a bad ability at all. I'm also really happy we got this card because he is Piccolo after he's fused with Kami, and this is literally him taking place in the fight against Android 17, which was one of my favorite anime fights in all of Dragon Ball. But, anyway. The card is really good. I don't see any reason why so many people are against this card. I've spoken to some people recently, and they agree with me that this is probably one of the best super rares in the set. Then we have Titanic Ambition Lord Slug. He's a 6-cost, 25,000 power. You EX evolve him for 2 green, and you discard a card, and you have to evolve him on a Lord Slug, energy cost 4 or more. And he has Double Strike, and he has Auto Bond 3, Slug's Army. When you play this card, choose up to 3 cards from your opponent's hand and place them in their drop area. This would be disgusting after getting cell chained. I'm not really sure how well you could run the 2 engines together. I'm very positive someone will try it. Hell, possibly one of my teammates, and you know who you are, will end up trying it. The only downside to it is you have to have 3 Slug's Army. You only have to have 2, because you're going to have him, but you have to have Lord Slug plus 2 others, to be able to get that ability off. So it's not super game breaking, and again, combining this engine with the Cell engine is not really going to be super ideal with the 2 leaders that you would use. Then we have this completely forgettable character from the Universe Survival arc, Combo Killer Anilaza. He's a 4-cost, 20,000 power. He's got barrier, double strike, just like the Piccolo. Once per turn, when your opponent combos, they choose 1 card in their hand and place it in their drop area. Not really that overwhelming. He stays alive because of barrier, I guess. If you don't attack with him, he just sits there. Kind of deters your opponent from comboing, I suppose, but really just, like, I don't know, to me, like, yeah, it prevents your opponent from comboing, but is this really what you want to spend 4 energy on? Especially considering most games end on turn 4, maybe turn 5, at the very latest. So, is this really the last card you want to play, so that when your opponent combos, they have to discard 1 card, and then they can still just do everything else as normal? Doesn't seem very worth it to me. He's an alien in Universe 3, so there's plenty of good alien support, but nobody's playing it. And they won't be playing it just for this card, I don't think. And Universe 3 has no support really whatsoever. I don't know, to me, it's an underwhelming card. And in green, hell, you could run the Piccolo. He's generic, he just requires 1 other battle card, and he'd be a hell of a lot better than playing this card, in my opinion. Then we've got one of my favorite characters, and probably my favorite super rare, right up there with Piccolo, is Bardock, the Progenitor. He's a 1-cost, 10,000 power, which is already good for a 1-cost. He's got Swap 2 for Goku's lineage, no energy cost there. And his auto says, when you play this card, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. So your turn goes, charge an energy, play the Bardock, take a card from your life, add it to your hand, swing with the Bardock, swap 2, bring out either the 2-drop Goku or the 2-drop Gohan that has barrier, and the Bardock's back in your hand if you want to do it again next turn. Like, they've made it so easy to awaken in these games. Now with all the self-harm that you can do, and taking the damage yourself, and while it's necessary, because a lot of the time, like, people won't awaken you, just so they can get their own advantage before you, so it kind of lets you have a little more control over how your end of the game is going. But at the same time, like, say for example, I want to run the Bardock leader from set 4, and this, so I play this, I take a card, add it to my hand. I play Bardock's ability to take a life and KO one of your dudes. Now I'm 2 away from awakening, which the good thing about it is that it prevents your opponent from stalling you out by not attacking, because when you can awaken yourself anyways, there's no point in not attacking. That's what I do when I play against veggie players. It's like, oh, well, you can just stall them out. You really can't, because they're going to awaken anyway. So why not deal as much damage as you can to make their awakening abilities, their self-damaging abilities, hurt themselves more than it's going to benefit them. Because they can only, use 1-drop Kaba so many times. They can only play Green Khalifa so many times. They can only take so much damage, and if they're doing half of it to themselves, they really have to be careful with how much they're dealing to you, or they're letting you deal to them. This also gives us a fantastic target for the Bardock Will of Iron Grade 8 promo, and I'll be running 4 of these and 4 of those promos in my Apes deck and in the new Bardock deck I've got built. It's a 1-cost. It's a 1-cost, you play it, you draw a card, and then you evolve it into a great big monkey that's going to block all your shit and hit for double strike. Then we've got Height of Mastery Son Goku. He's a 8-cost, 35,000 power with Deflect, Triple Strike, Dual Attack. That sounds like a lot of crazy shit. When you play this card with Swap, choose up to a total of 3 of your opponent's battle cards or energy, ignoring barrier, and switch them to rest mode. First of all, this card literally says, hey, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, go fuck yourself. He literally hates that fucking leader so hard with that ability, and I wonder if this ability was in tandem to all the complaints about Super Saiyan 3, because they say that, they test these 6 months before release, but that means, they'd be playing this, like, right before set 3 even dropped, or even you know, during the reign of Set 2. So I don't know how much I believe that. But it is easy to believe that they could just, you know, have their proxied cards and shit, and then they go, oh, hey, that card's kind of sucking right now. Let's go ahead and add this ability here to make it better. Which I won't be main decking this in my swap deck, but I will be side decking it for sure, especially if I see any Super Saiyan 3 Goku leaders. I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, those 3 energy you left at the end of your turn, not happening. Not fucking happening. I don't care about putting your battle cards in rest mode. Fuck that shit. That's not really necessary unless maybe they have a blocker, but dual attack, triple strike. Wow. Then we've got, you don't belong in this set, Jiren, Universe's strongest. He's a 12 cost, 40,000 power with deflect and quadruple strike. Like, let's just make it as gross as we can. And when there are 9 or more Universe 11 in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 6. So, similar effect to the 10 drop Jiren that we got in the previous set. Only difference is the requirements are, they're similar, but they're a little bit different. And in a way, this one's easier to get, just because you have to have 9 in your drop area versus keeping them on the board. However, turn 6, really just not going to happen. I mean, there are blockers and negates and stuff, and yellow's a really strong counter color, but unless you are just forcing it to play this card, I don't know, I don't see it. During battles, when this card attacks, your opponent may not activate counter or blocker. That's the only really crazy thing about him, is your opponent can't go no. They can't stop you from hitting with this card, which is nice, but again, 6 energy, even in a yellow deck, I just don't know that I see it. And then you have to have 9 or more, so like if they're not killing your cards, you're not playing it anyways, unless you combo them to the drop area yourself. But I don't know, like on paper, when you look at all its abilities, you're like, holy shit, that's terrifying. But I don't see it seeing any play. I don't really see Universe 11 seeing a lot of play anywhere anyways. And the 10 drop's already kind of a pain to get out. This guy is just worse. I mean, I'll do some theory crafting to figure out what we can do with it, and figure out if there's any way to actually play it. But for the most part, it just sounds like it's just going to be a deck full of negates, and then enough cards to combo to your drop area so you can play him. For our final color, we've got Absolute Space Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. He's a 5 cost, 25,000 power. You Xeno Evolve him for 5 on top of any other Trunks Xeno, and he has triple strike. When a card evolves into this card, draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 of your energy and switch to active mode. Then choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to their warp. So, it's kind of similar to the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock we got. But there are a few key differences. The first one being you only warp 1 card instead of 5 cards. He does reset an energy, so you could do some other crazy stuff. They both have triple strike, and they both cost 5 energy to EX evolve, or to Xeno evolve rather. The other main difference being that this card, unlike the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, does not require a black leader. So, if you're going to be playing one of the now 5 black leaders, then great. The Bardock is probably going to be the better card to play. If you're not playing a black leader, but you are playing a lot of Overrealm stuff, then the Super Saiyan 3 Trunks is definitely a good card as well. For 5, though, I don't really know unless you're banking on that triple strike. Like, it'd be a nice tech. I wouldn't put your focus around it, just because you're only sending 1 card versus 5 with the Bardock, but still a good card, I think. A lot of ways to use it. But 5 energy is a lot for not a lot of advantage. Again, you know, the triple strike is great, and if you hit with it, you probably win. But I don't know. I just don't know if I see it being as well used as I see the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, considering we now have more black leaders that you can play to be able to take advantage of his ability. Then we got this ugly ass Temporal Darkness Demigra. He's a 7 cost, 30,000 power. He has Dark Overwhelm 7 for 4 energy. pretty crazy for only 4 energy, if you ask me. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to their warp, and then choose one battle card from your warp with an energy cost of 4 or less and play it. So you get a free card, you neg 1 your opponent, so you basically +2 because of his abilities, and he's 30,000 power. And he's Dark Overrealm. So Dark Overrealm doesn't leave the field at the end of the turn. That's really crazy. I mean, yeah, you have to have 7 cards to warp to play it. But now the difference being with Overrealm and Dark Overrealm is Darker Overrealm you have to have at least 7 black cards for the dark part. So whereas regular Overrealm you just have to have 7 cards in total. So it is, in a way, it's kind of balanced, but it also encourages you to build like mono black, which with all the support we got now between set 1, set 2, and some of the extra stuff like the stuff we got in the EX villains box like the Time Patrol Trunks and the Mass Saiyan, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and I can see a lot of people at least trying it out. Whether or not it'll work will be another thing, but Dark Overrealm, the fact that they don't leave the board is really crazy, because it means that you've just got a free 30,000 beater just sitting there that only costs you 4 energy. Then lastly, we have Mira, Creator Absorbed. He's a 7 cost, 30,000 power. Overrealm for 4 with 1 energy cost, and he's got Deflect. That's pretty crazy. So he only costs 1 energy, and you only have to have 4 to overrealm him. Like, what the hell? That is so overpowered for a 4 overrealm cost. And when you play this card using Union, your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hand and sends them to the warp, and this card gains double strike for the duration of the turn. So that's the way you really want to play him. I mean, you could still just overwhelm him for 4, and he's a big 30,000 beat stick, but he won't have that ability. And in a way, it's good. I mean, it does force your opponent to kind of drop 3 cards, which would be Murder combined with Cell Chain. And considering a lot of people already run Mira Cell, that's just gross. If they manage to get that off, and even worse, it sends the cards to the warp and doesn't even go to the drop, so they can't use them for their own overrealm or use them for other abilities. And then when this card attacks, it gains 5,000 power for each card in your warp, which is insane. That's why I think it's crazy that you can overrealm him for 4 for just 1 energy, because he's already 30,000 power, and he's probably at least going to be 50 to 60,000 when he attacks. And if you drop a Champa with him, that could just be game over. Alright, well that's going to do it for the super rare reveal for Colossal Warfare. I honestly didn't expect this video to take this long. I thought, okay, there's only 14 cards instead of like the 23, 24, 25 that the colors have, so it'll be relatively short. Turns out it didn't. We had a lot of things to analyze over the cards and, you know, some different strategy to talk, so... but if you guys enjoyed this video, if you're hyped for the super rares like I am, hit that like button down below for us. You know, we appreciate all the support. We appreciate all of our subscribers as well. We're just under 800 subscribers now. We're getting so close to getting our partnership back, and it means so much to me that you guys have been supporting me. Let me know in the comments below which super rares you're looking forward to, and if there's any crazy things you guys have come up with that I haven't for any of these cards, let me know. We're going to be doing a lot of testing with these set 4 cards as soon as they come out, and probably even before then. But we're going to go ahead and get the frig out of here now, and so we'll see you guys in the next video.